Have you ever stopped and really listened to the silence? It's easy to mistake silence as just an absence of noise, but it's so much more. Silence is a teacher, a healer, and a source of great strength. Welcome everyone. Today we're diving into the powerful world of silence through the lens of the ancient Stoic principles. In a world that's becoming increasingly noisy and chaotic, learning the art of silence could be the antidote you need. In this conversation, we'll uncover how silence can teach us acceptance, bring inner peace, enhance our self-control, offer profound wisdom, and help us master the art of detachment. I promise, this journey into the power of silence will not only quieten the external noise but also pacify the internal chaos. So, let's embark on this journey together, because silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. The first principle we're going to explore is the acceptance of what is. This principle encourages us to embrace life as it unfolds, rather than resisting or trying to manipulate it to suit our desires. Picture this, a tree in the middle of a winter storm. The snow is falling heavily, the wind is howling, and the temperatures are frigid. The tree cannot escape the storm or change the weather, it simply stands firm, bearing the weight of the snow on its branches. The tree does not struggle against the storm or wish for it to be summer, it accepts the reality of winter. It understands that the storm is out of its control, and it focuses on what it can control, standing firm and surviving the storm. This is a powerful image of acceptance, and it's one that we can apply to our own lives using the power of silence. We all face storms in our lives, unexpected challenges, disappointments, and setbacks. These storms can be noisy, overwhelming, and emotionally draining. But just as the tree stands firm in the winter storm, we too can stand firm in our life's storms, using silence as our ally. Silence allows us to pause, reflect, and accept the reality of our circumstances, without judgment, without resistance, and without panic. We can sit in silence and observe our thoughts and feelings, just as the tree observes the snow falling. We don't need to react immediately or try to change our thoughts and feelings. We can simply accept them as they are. For instance, imagine you've just received some negative feedback at work. Your first reaction might be to defend yourself or to criticize the person who gave the feedback. But what if, instead, you took a moment of silence? You could take a few deep breaths, calm your mind, and accept the feedback without judgment. You might realize that the feedback is not a personal attack, but an opportunity to grow and improve. Silence also helps us accept the things we cannot change. We often waste a lot of energy worrying about things that are outside of our control. This can lead to stress, frustration, and unhappiness. But when we sit in silence, we can clearly see what is in our control and what is not. We can let go of the things we can't control and focus our energy on the things we can. This acceptance can bring a sense of peace and clarity, even in the midst of life's storms. There's a beautiful quote by Michael J. Fox that says, "Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means understanding that something is what it is and that there's got to be a way through it." This is the essence of the Stoic principle of acceptance. It's not about giving up or resigning ourselves to a life of unhappiness. It's about understanding our circumstances, accepting them as they are, and finding a way to navigate through them. The power of silence allows us to tap into this acceptance. When we sit in silence, we can observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. We can accept our life as it is, without wishing it were different. And we can find a sense of peace and clarity, even in the midst of life's storms. So, I encourage you to embrace silence in your daily life. You might be surprised at the wisdom and strength you find in the quiet. The second principle we'll be discussing today is inner peace and tranquility. Now, many of us think peace and tranquility are states we achieve when we are on a vacation or during a quiet Sunday at home. However, the Stoics believe that these states aren't just momentary feelings to be experienced in isolation, but are actually a way of life to be cultivated and nurtured through the power of silence. Silence, in its simplest form, is absence of noise. But when we delve deeper, we realize that silence is not merely about the quietness around us, but also about the quietness within us. It's about finding that center within ourselves where we can retreat, irrespective of the noise and chaos in the physical world around us. Picture yourself in the middle of a bustling city. The honking cars, the talking people, the moving vehicles, the blinking lights, it's a whirlpool of noise and movement. Now, imagine a tranquil garden. The gently swaying trees, the quietly flowing water, the softly chirping birds, it's a symphony of peace and calm. Which place would you choose for inner peace and tranquility? Most of us would instinctively go for the garden. But is it really the garden that's tranquil, or is it our perception of it? This is where the Stoic principle comes into the picture. It's not the external environment that determines your state of peace, but your internal environment. And this internal environment can be nurtured and maintained by practicing silence. Let's understand this better. The city is noisy, but so are our minds. Our thoughts are like those honking cars, incessant, loud, and often overwhelming. The tranquility we feel in the garden is not because of the garden itself, but because we subconsciously silence our thoughts and become more present in the moment. We notice the rustling leaves, we feel the cool breeze, we hear the birds. This feeling of peace and tranquility is what we need to cultivate within ourselves, irrespective of where we are. You might be wondering, how do we practice this? How can we find silence in a noisy city or in a stressful situation? The Stoics offer a simple, yet powerful solution: meditation. By meditating, we learn to quieten our thoughts, and in that silence, we find peace. It's like building an internal sanctuary that we can retreat into, no matter what's happening around us. However, it's important to remember that practicing silence isn't about suppressing our thoughts or emotions. It's about acknowledging them, observing them without judgment, and letting them pass. It's about understanding that our thoughts and emotions don't define us, but our response to them does. When we learn to maintain this inner silence, we experience a sense of tranquility that's not affected by our external circumstances. Our mind becomes calm, our reactions become thoughtful, and our lives become more peaceful. In this noise-dominated world, finding and maintaining silence might seem like a daunting task. But remember, every journey starts with a single step. Start with a few moments of silence every day. You'll soon realize that these moments of silence are not just pauses in your day, but are actually moments of peace, tranquility, and self-discovery. So, let's embrace the power of silence and cultivate our internal garden of peace and tranquility. Because, in the words of the great Stoic philosopher, Seneca, true happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient, for he that is so wants nothing. Self-control and discipline, a Stoic's perspective. Ever since the days of ancient Greece, the Stoics have been promoting the virtues of self-control and discipline. These are not just qualities to aspire to, they are pillars that uphold the very foundation of Stoic philosophy. And in the den of modern life, these traits are even more critical. That's where silence comes in, a tool, a teacher, a sanctuary that can help us cultivate these virtues. Imagine you're at a social event. The music is blaring, people are talking, laughing, arguing. Somebody says something offensive towards you. What is your immediate reaction? Is it to respond with a quick retort, escalating the situation, or to stay silent, maintaining your peace and dignity? This is where the power of silence, coupled with self-control and discipline, comes into play. By choosing to stay silent, you're not displaying weakness. On the contrary, you're showing strength, self-control, and discipline. You see, it's easy to react, but it takes patience, strength, and courage to control that impulse and stay silent. You're choosing to not let external circumstances dictate your behavior. Another scenario could be around discipline related to your life goals. Picture yourself working towards a big dream. Maybe it's starting your own business, writing a book, or running a marathon. It's likely that you'll face obstacles, distractions, and criticisms. People might tell you it's too hard or that you're not capable. In these moments, silence can be your ally. Instead of arguing or justifying your actions, you can choose to silently continue your work, demonstrating discipline and determination. Silence also cultivates self-control by teaching us the art of listening. In a conversation, how often do we actually listen to understand, rather than to respond? The discipline of silence teaches us to listen, truly listen, not just to the words being spoken, but to the tone, the emotions, and the unspoken words. This kind of listening can lead to a deeper understanding of others and ourselves, fostering empathy and improving interactions. Furthermore, silence promotes self-control by helping us manage our thoughts and emotions. We live in a world with a constant influx of information and noise that can lead to stress, anxiety, and emotional turmoil. By embracing periods of silence, we allow our minds to settle, to sift through the noise and declutter. This practice of mindful silence can lead to better emotional regulation, enhancing our ability to exercise self-control in various aspects of life. In essence, silence is not just the absence of noise, but a space for growth, understanding, and the cultivation of self-control and discipline. It's a tool to help us navigate through life's ups and downs. It's a practice that requires effort, but the rewards are immense. The tranquility, the clarity, the strength that comes from mastering self-control and discipline through silence is life-changing. The Stoics knew it, and now, so do you. It's time to embrace the silence and uncover the strength within. Remember, silence is a source of great strength. It's where the magic happens, away from the hustle and bustle, and the quiet stillness of your being. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now delve deeper into the wisdom derived from silence, our fourth Stoic principle. I want you to imagine a world where everyone speaks and nobody listens. A world where the air is filled with clamor, but devoid of understanding. A world where words are abundant, but wisdom is scarce. Sounds chaotic, right? Now, consider the power of silence in such a world. Silence, my friends, is not simply the absence of sound. It is a canvas for thought, a vessel for introspection, and a pathway to wisdom. The Stoics understood this. They valued the wisdom that comes from observing and reflecting, from listening more than speaking, from embracing silence. In the words of Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say. Consider a disagreement you've recently had. Perhaps it was with a friend, a colleague, or a family member. How much of your energy was spent on talking, on articulating your viewpoint, on trying to make the other person see things from your perspective? Were you so consumed by your desire to speak that you forgot to listen? The wisdom derived from silence is understanding. It's about truly listening to others, stepping into their shoes, seeing the world from their perspective. Silence paves the way for empathy and compassion, helping us navigate our relationships with greater wisdom and understanding. Imagine if, in that disagreement, you had spent more time listening. What could you have learned about the other person's viewpoint? How could this have changed your reaction? By embracing silence, by truly listening, we can open our minds to new perspectives, deepen our understanding, and respond with wisdom. This practice of listening more and speaking less can be a powerful tool for personal growth. It can help us learn from our mistakes, understand others more deeply, and make more informed decisions. It can turn a heated debate into a productive conversation, a misunderstanding into an enlightening exchange of ideas. However, wisdom in silence is not just about listening to others. It's also about listening to ourselves. In the hustle and bustle of life, we often ignore our inner voice. We drown it in the noise of our daily lives, in the constant stream of thoughts, worries, and distractions. But in silence, our inner voice finds its strength. It guides us, teaches us, and offers us wisdom that we may not find elsewhere. Friends, silence is not passive. It's active and dynamic. It's a space for growth, understanding, and wisdom. So the next time you find yourself in a disagreement, or when you're faced with a difficult decision, remember the power of silence. Listen more, speak less, and let wisdom emerge. Before I leave you, let me remind you to hit that subscribe button. It's your support that allows us to continue exploring such profound life lessons together. As we journey through the realms of Stoicism, your companionship is invaluable. So, hit subscribe, join our community, and let's together unravel the wisdom and power that lie within silence. The fifth principle of Stoicism we'll explore is the art of detachment. Before we dive into it, I'd like you to imagine a scenario. You're in a balloon, soaring high in the sky, but you notice that you're not ascending as you should be. Down below, you see the reason: weights tied to your balloon, keeping you from reaching your desired heights. Now, what would you do? Of course, you would let go of those weights, wouldn't you? That's detachment in its simplest form, letting go of the weights that hold you back. Stoic philosophy often speaks of detachment, and its importance cannot be overstated. Detachment doesn't mean giving up everything and becoming a hermit. It means breaking free from the shackles that bind you to your worries, anxieties, and material possessions. It's about realizing that you are not defined by the material things you possess or the emotional disturbances that pass through your mind. Now, let's relate this to the power of silence. Picture this: you're in a room full of noise, people chattering, music playing, phones ringing. Amidst this chaos, can you hear your own thoughts clearly? Most likely not. Now, imagine being in a quiet room, sitting in silence. Can you hear your thoughts now? Absolutely. This is where silence and detachment intersect. The silence gives you a chance to hear your thoughts, to detach yourself from the external noise and understand what's really important. Detachment in the Stoic sense doesn't mean becoming emotionless or apathetic. Rather, it's about understanding our emotions without letting them control us. Emotions are like waves in the ocean. They come and they go. If we try to control the waves, we'll end up exhausted and frustrated. But if we learn to surf, if we learn to ride the waves without getting swept away, we've mastered the art of emotional detachment. Material detachment, on the other hand, is understanding that while possessions can provide comfort, they do not define us or our happiness. We live in a world that often equates success with material wealth. But think about it, does having the latest gadget, the biggest house, or the fanciest car really bring lasting happiness? More often than not, the pleasure we derive from these things is temporary and we soon start looking for the next big thing. Silence gives us the opportunity to reflect on these aspects. It allows us to understand our desires better, to question them, to differentiate between wants and needs. In the quiet moments of introspection, we might realize that we don't really need all those material possessions to be happy. We learn to appreciate what we have, and this gratitude brings a far more lasting joy than any material possession ever could. In essence, the art of detachment is about breaking free from the chains of material and emotional attachments. It's about understanding that our worth is not defined by what we have, but by who we are. And silence plays a crucial role in this understanding. The quiet moments of contemplation give us a chance to introspect, to question our beliefs, and to truly understand ourselves. By mastering the art of detachment, we free ourselves from the grip of external circumstances and emotions. We find a sense of peace and contentment that is not dependent on anything or anyone else. We become like that balloon, finally able to ascend to greater heights once we've let go of the weights holding us back. So, the next time you find yourself in silence, embrace it. Use it as an opportunity to practice the art of detachment. You might be surprised at the freedom and peace it brings.